Well, hello, General Hospital Daily Recap fans. Today's daily recap is for Monday, March the 31st, 2025. Oh my God. This episode, everybody, I was through the roof. I was cheering. I was just high-fiving. I was crying at one point. But I was so happy they wrote it this way. Let's get to it right now. Monica saves the day. Oh, I love that they did that with Monica's character. So, okay, Anna does. This chick cuts the butt, takes the bolt cutters, cuts the chain, and arrests her granddaughter. Emma Drake, you under sure did. Now Trina is still live streaming this whole thing, right? And Emma just looks at her grandmother, and Anna takes her off. So now the marshal says, "Well, wait, Commissioner, what are you gonna do with her?" Pointing to Tracy. Or actually, Ezra says, "What are you gonna do with her?" And he goes, "Tracy Quartermain is your problem. You figure out how to handle it." So he looks at the marshal, and Anna takes Emma off, and he goes, "Arrest that woman, arrest her now." So Yuri is standing next to Tracy, and Yuri says, "I stand with you, Miss Tracy. I stand with you." Let's go ahead, Yuri. I love you, Yuri. Go ahead, right? So Tracy looked at him. She goes, "Yuri, look, don't resist. Just let him arrest you. Like, I don't want you getting into trouble." So they handcuff Yuri and Tracy, they come for Tracy. So she goes, "Don't you lay a hand on me. Don't you touch me." But Tracy did a big, like, grandstanding in front of the camera as Trina is recording. And she just laid it out, right? Laid it out. What Drew was doing and what Alan and Edward, and her mother had done for the community. And this, they deserve more than this, right? So um Ezra, the councilman, says, "If you think the citizens of Port Charles are going to come down here and rally for you, that's the only thing I would have changed. I would have had random citizens of Port Charles come there and, kind of do a little protest. I would have written it that way. But I wouldn't have changed Diane's scene. So they've got Tracy, the one got her up under one arm, the other has her up under the other, and she had her legs crossed. So they got her up in the air. She's making them carry her. Let you hurt me. Let me go. Let me go. And so the one said, "Look, I could accidentally drop you." And she said, "Oh, Trina, you got that? Because every time this man speaks to me, my attorneys are going to add another zero behind it." And all of a sudden you heard, "You got that right." And I said, "Killer Miller? Diane, where you been, girl? Where you at? Diane?" So that made me happy right off the bat. And Tracy looked at Diane like, uh, you're here? Because, see, Tracy didn't have the wherewithal to call Diane, right? She didn't know why Diane was there. So Ezra says, "Look, there is nothing you could do." Because she said some snide little snarky remark about Ezra and his character. And he goes, "There is nothing you could do that's going to change the situation. This crypt is going to be bulldozed down." And she says, "Au contraire." Because, see, I have an official signed cease and desist of the demolition of this crypt. And Tracy looked at her like, how? How? And he walks over to Diane and he goes, so she's turning it for him to take, right? She says, look, we all want to see your face as you read this. And he said, who could get a cease and desist this fast at this hour? So Diane looked at Ezra and said, Dr. Monica Quartermain. And when she said Monica's name, his eyes got big and he read it. And Tracy is looking like, wait, huh? And we have Geo, because see, remember, Geo and Emma went to Monica, but we're not gonna find that out probably till tomorrow, right? So Geo's looking like, yeah, she did it. Monica went to the Heretic Society, right? Land trust, to that, the society that really owns the protected public land, because there is a protected bird there, right? Monica set up a trust, a land trust, granting the same amount of land, but it has waterfront. So the birds are protected all the way to the lake, right? In exchange for them keeping the encroached upon land. And of course, who wouldn't go for that deal, right? It's a better deal for the wildlife, which is what Emma was saying. And so he says, come on, guys. Ezra takes the mark, there's nothing we can do. So they let Tracy go. And when Diane came up, she goes, Trina, you've been recording this whole thing, right? She goes, mm-hmm. She goes, good girl, right? So she walks over to Tracy because now the cops are gone. And she says, Monica did this? She goes, yes, she did. She says, and Tracy, she wanted me to give you a message. And Tracy looked at Diane like, what? She goes, Monica said, next time, come to me first. I could have had this thing done months ago, right? And in that injunction, I think Monica also, well, they tied in, Tracy already got the injunction for Drew to stop using the name Quartermain, right? That was a done deal. He just kept doing it. But now Monica got this injunction, so now we got strike two against Drew. Strike two. I love it. Okay. And so she just looked at Diane as Diane walked off. And then Gio said, Tracy, what about Emma? And she goes, come on, let's go. We're going to go down. We're going to make sure Emma gets released, right? So Emma, this is where I started to cry, everybody, because Emma brought some history up. And the history was, and I just watched it online on somebody's YouTube, when Edward, behind that protected glass, gave the thumbs up for Patrick to give Emma that last dose of serum meant for him. And Tracy tried to talk him out of it, and he goes, I know what I'm doing. Nope. And so Tracy was the one that went and got Patrick, because they were prepared to say their farewells. But you know what? Robin, I don't think, or Robin was working with, somebody, because Robin wasn't there holding Emma. It was Patrick. So Tracy went over to Patrick, and she goes, here. And he goes, what is this? This is the dose meant for your father. She goes, Daddy wants you to have it for Emma. And Patrick says, but wait, this is for him. She goes, and he could give it to whoever he wants. Now get up there, hurry up and give it to her. So he takes little Emma over to the glass, right? And Edward looked up and he smiled and he gave a thumbs up. So Patrick looked at him. He goes, Emma, you need to drink this. This is going to make you feel better. So little Emma Drake drank it, right? And after she drank it, Patrick turned her, to the glass to see Edward. And Edward just waved at her. Oh, that was just because Edward on the show, he died soon after. I think like a day later or that night, because he needed it to save him. He died because of it from off the show. And I was sad then. So, and I was kind of sad watching it again. So she said, I wouldn't be here today. She goes, Grandma, I wasn't just out protesting, a needless cause. Because she goes, this was not your fight, Emma. This was a Quartermain thing. She goes, no, Grandma, it was my fight. And then she said, my mother told me this story all throughout my childhood, how Edward Quartermain sacrificed his life for mine. She says, Grandma, Edward Quartermain is in that crypt. He says, and my mother also told me all through her life that it was Alan Quartermain that told her she had AIDS. Oh no, she was HIV positive. She was HIV positive. She says, and back then, Mom said HIV and AIDS was a death sentence. And that one conversation that Alan Quartermain had with her changed her entire life. And Anna says, yes, it did. And you know how Fiona can pull some tears, right? Her eyes were all watered up. And she goes, and Mom says she was all alone. But it was Alan Quartermain that stood by her side, because back then they didn't even know, the full medications weren't out. And if there weren't enough doses. It was just a different thing. And people feared HIV positive people. But Dr. Alan Quartermain never feared my mother. And he gave her strength. And Anna's crying. I regret that every day. I regret that because I wasn't there for my daughter. No, Anna sure wasn't there at all when Robin was diagnosed. Anna wasn't there. Mac raised those girls from Felicia's daughters to Anna's, right? And she's wiping her tears. I regret not being there. She goes, but Dr. Alan Quartermain was. And she says, and my mother said, he was a large reason or largely responsible for her choosing to be a doctor. And so Anna, she goes, so see, Grandma, no, I wasn't just there protesting to be protesting. This was personal to me. She says, and Dr. Alan Quartermain is also in that crypt. There were two people I was fighting for, Edward and Alan. Because it's personal to me, Grandma. And Anna says, okay, now I understand, okay. I understand why you did it. Because look, Emma got her mother ready to go and push them charges and sweep them under the rug, right? Because Anna will do that in a heartbeat. We all know that, right? So Mac walks in and Emma comes up and she says, Uncle Mac, and she hugs him and he hugs her. And he says, I know why you in here. He says, and I want you to know I love you. I love you anyway, right? He said, Anna, can we talk outside? So Anna says, yeah. So Anna goes outside of her office, closes the door, and she goes, look. She was already brushing this up. Look, okay. Emma's arrested, but she and I have we had a really good talk, heart to heart. I found out why she did it. Her personal, they were truly personal reasons, and blah blah blah, And she says, so I mean, and I stand behind her, and blah blah. She's like, so you know what? We need to really just make this. And before she could say anything else, Max said, "You need to see this." So he gives Anna the file. And she goes, what's this? She lifts up the page and she's reading Emma's priors. See, we already knew Emma was a troubled person, scammer, schemer, pickpocket, but we didn't get into all her different charges, right? So they go back into the office and Anna's looking at Emma. Tracy and Gio come bursting in. Emma, Emma, the crypt was saved. And Gio was so happy. And so she looked and she named the precedent that she found and they told Monica about. Was it the blah, blah, blah? And Gio said, yes. So she smiled. And Tracy says, look, I know that she got arrested, but I'm here to pay all her legal fees. I'm here to pay whatever fine that she has to pay. Let's get this going. I want to get her released because I need to take Emma out to dinner tonight. Anna said, well, that won't be possible. And Tracy looked, she goes, why not? She said, well, if it were just this incident. No, she goes, oh, that's because Emma's getting ready to get booked and is going to be spending the night in jail. And Tracy said, over a slap on the wrist? And Anna says, not a slap on the wrist. Emma has prior arrests. Emma looks at Gio. Gio looks at Emma like, wait, what? What's coming? Yeah, Emma was running, right? Ran right to Port Charles. We knew it. We knew that. So we're going to see exactly or hear what kind of charges Emma's facing. Okay. So now the next good thing. Oh my God. Christina gets there and she gets out of her car. She goes up under more on the side, the embankment side to get closer. And she's hearing them saying, okay, he's he is injured. They didn't say he was unresponsive, but he's injured, he's unconscious. And she's thinking, he? What do you mean he? And when they get Rick off the steering wheel, she could see it was Rick. And she goes, no, no, no. And now Lucky has run up to her. No, no, no. No, no, no. This not supposed to have been this way. No, no. It shouldn't have been him. And Lucky is looking at her. And she goes, I was careful. What's he doing driving Ava's car? I double checked before I cut the brakes. Telling Lucky this. I double checked. Why is he in Ava's car? And so Lucky looked at her and realized she did this, right? So he goes, Christina, okay, you need to leave right now. See, he don't know Elizabeth's hurt yet. You need to leave right now. You need to go to Charlie's, go through the back door. Like you have been doing inventory in the back room. If anybody asks, that's what you were doing. So she goes, okay, okay. Yeah, see, Christina's so willing to let other people help her get out of a jam. So that's what she does. Now, mind you, Molly came to Charlie's because she just wanted to talk to Christina because, they knew best BFFs, right? Cody is there and they're talking. He was going to be meeting Mac there. And Molly was saying, ooh, don't you think that could be dangerous? This is where you got into a fight with Lucky, right? And got arrested. So he goes, well, I think that's probably why Mac wants to meet me here. to make sure I know how to behave. And he says, and I've been looking for Lucky because I owe him an apology, right? So they were talking and they asked the bartender on duty, have they seen Christina? And she goes, no, I haven't. Or he may have said, have you seen Lucky? And she's like, no, she hasn't. So Matt comes, Cody goes and sits down with Matt. Christina comes out the back and she goes, Malls, what are you doing here? She goes, oh, I just came by to see you to see if you had time to maybe, have a drink with me or a quick bite. And so she goes, where were you? I was looking for you. She goes, oh, I was in the back doing inventory. So Molly says, really? She goes, yeah, inventory, it takes a long time. So she goes, well, I'm good with number, Christina. I would be happy to come back and help you with inventory. I've got a great system we can implement. I could get my label maker, So Christina says, no, it's a new system that we're using, and it would take you some time to have to learn it. She goes, so no, I'm good. So she goes, well, okay, do you have time then to talk with me? And so Christina's like, well, sure. So Cody comes over and says, Molly, would you like to join us? Matt would like, talk to you, you'd like you to join us. And so he goes, you too, Christina. So she goes, Molly says, do you got time? So she goes, sure. Well, she's not sure as in happy. She's just like, sure. She did say, oh, sure. I did that kind of wrong. She's like, sure. So they go sit down and they're talking to Molly, blah, 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 blah. Molly gets a phone call, of course, because now Rick has been admitted to GH. They take him first. Elizabeth, before we get to that, Christina's gone from the scene. And Lucky hears, okay, we've got a female over here. She's non responsive. We need to get her out quick. So he's thinking it's probably Ava, right? And he sees when they got her on the gurney and they're pulling her, taking her, to the ambulance. They got her neck covered up, so she doesn't move. He goes, Elizabeth, Elizabeth, and he goes running over there, right? So he goes, I'm her ex-husband. They look, we got to get her to the hospital. So they take off to the hospital. And Lucky gets to the hospital. He comes right into the room, and Isaiah's like, oh, no, whoa, whoa, no. Lucky, you can't be in here. And he goes, Isaiah, that's Elizabeth. Isaiah, I have to be with her. I have to. And he goes, no, Lucky. For one, that's against protocol, against the rules. And two, we need to be able to administer the medical care Elizabeth needs. But you don't understand. Now, mind you, what Isaiah should have said, I have already been talking to you for 3 minutes, Lucky. I need to be, this is 3 minutes you're taking away from Elizabeth. So he's like, Isaiah, he goes, no, Lucky, you will have to wait out here. And he just closes the curtain in front of Lucky's face to go work on Elizabeth. So Molly, she gets there. Christina is already there. Rick was already taken into another trauma room because Rick was hurt worse than Molly. Lucas was working on Rick. So Molly comes running in with Cody. And she goes, where's my father? Where's my father? And Christina's like, he's, they're working on him. And so, what did they think? I think Lucas may have said something to Molly, or somebody said he's in trauma. Oh, Lucky told Molly, they're working on him. He's in one of the trauma rooms. So she's like, what happened? He goes, an accident, right? Oh my God. So Christina calls Alexis, tells her, Alexis, is Christina. Molly's at the hospital. She didn't say, Alexis, this is Christina, because that's her mama. She's like, Mom, this is Christina. Molly's at the hospital. Her father has been in a car accident. And Alexis is like, I'm on my way. Now, Alexis had been meeting with Drew. She was telling Drew, and Drew was saying, "Oh, because Drew called her over. I called you over because I wanted to tell you something. I wanted you to hear this from me." And so she goes, "Okay." She says, "You're not moving to Washington, D.C., are you? Scout's okay, right?" He goes, "No, Scout's fine." Yeah, no, no. No, what I'm here to tell you is Willow, Wiley, and Amelia are going to be moving in to the house with me and Scout. She's going to be surrounded by other children, and Willow is going to be a real good influence on her. This is just what Scout needs. And he's looking at Alexis. And Alexis says, "Well, I have to say, I disagree with you, Drew." And he looked at her, "What?" She said, "Scout needs stability." He goes, "That's what I'm getting. That's what Willow and a million Wiley will give her." She says, "No, Drew, Scout's mother just died. And Sam's wishes were she would be with her brother. Well, it's not my fault. I would have Scout with them too. It's not my fault that the Quartermains put us out. So I am making another family for Scout." Scouts, and so Alexis says Scout misses her brothers. And she misses her family. Because see, the Quartermains have been her family too. Because I guess he does let her see Alexis and that side of the family, but I haven't seen that happen. But okay. So he goes, "Well, Alexis, I think you misunderstand the meaning of the intent of our conversation." He said, "I didn't call you over here to ask for your permission. I don't need that." He said, "I'm just informing you as a courtesy that this is going to happen." So Alexis just sits there. She just looks at him. But then her phone rings, and that's Christina calling her, telling her about Molly. So she goes, "I'll be right there." She looks at Drew. "I got to go." And she leaves Drew right there. But Drew's like, phew. So then Ezra comes in because while he was talking to Alexis, Ezra called and he goes, "What's the status?" Or he called Ezra, one of the two, but I think Ezra called him. And he goes, "Well, blah, 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 it'll be done tonight. You run into a little snag." He goes, "Well, get unsnagged," or whatever he said, "and get it done." He goes, "Get it done." That's before Diane, everything really happened, right? So at the end of the episode, Ezra comes into Drew's office and Drew says, "I want to hear every detail, bit by bit. What did Tracy Quartermain's face look like when the crypt where her beloved family members are was demolished to the ground?" And I said, "See, that's why you don't deserve to use the name Quartermain. You were reveling in your father, your grandfather, your grandmother. Forget your uncle and your other relatives, but your main bloodline. The crypt being demolished with them in it, and that made you so happy? Despicable." So Ezra says, "Didn't happen." Andrew says, "Wait, it didn't happen, and why not?" He said, "Because there was a cease and desist, an official cease and desist filed." And Drew said, and wait, and Congressman McCulkey said, I mean, he's not yet councilman, he's a councilman. He said, "Not only are you to cease and desist using the Quartermain name, Councilman Kane, he said, we cannot touch that crypt. And he says, how on earth did Tracy Quartermain get that done? And he goes, she didn't. So Drew said, who did? And so Ezra says, Dr. Monica Quartermain. And Drew just looked. Yeah, yeah. Choke on that, Drew. Choke on that. See, you forgot your grandmother, who you profess to love, who you were just calling 2 months ago when you were trying to get booty calls from Willow. Monica, I was just calling to check on you. Monica, but you're not answering my calls. Is everything okay? Yeah, Monica did the smackdown. And I loved it. I loved watching his face. The name, gotta go. Lost the battle with the crypt, gotta go. See, now let's start Xing off all the things. Let's start seeing the dismantling of Drew Kane. That's exactly what needs to happen. The dismantling of Drew Kane. Now, mind you, let's get back to the hospital. Lucas comes out and he tells Molly, now see how Christina's right there? Just and as Lucas is talking to Molly, she touches Molly's shoulder. Mm-hmm. Now you know I don't curse. But that witch with a B, you get what I'm talking about. You get the word I'm going for. Has the nerve to pretend to be so concerned. When Molly finds out what her sister has done, Molly might try to kill her. See, because of you, my baby girl was dead. Because of you, my father might be dying. Because Lucas said we have to take him and we've got him stable. Now we have to take him into emergency surgery to repair the damage. Right? Now, Lucky is at the nurse's station and he's just looking at Christina. And Christina kind of looked at him like, you know. But then they came out and he says, can I go? And Dr. Isaiah Gannon came out and said, okay, we've stabilized Elizabeth. And Lucky said, can I go in? I got to see her. He goes, yes, you can go in. So Lucky goes in and he's telling Elizabeth that he loves her, that he's always loved her. You know, the same from the moment I laid eyes on you all these years. I've loved you, Elizabeth. So Elizabeth does open her eyes and she looks around and she looks at Lucky, right? But it's Rick that got hurt the worst. Now, Ava showed up earlier and Christina just looked at Ava. And Ava's like, an accident? What? See, nobody knows yet the brakes were cut. Nobody knows. Because Ava would have went off and said, you did this. She would have. And it's probably going to be Ava to go blasting out Christina once she does hear. And Molly will find out. And Alexis will find out. We'll see how that goes. But Alexis says, she goes, how is he? How's Rick? And so Alexis walks over to her and says, look, Ava, this ain't the time and the place for you. She goes, what are you talking about? Rick and I have a relationship. I have every right to be here. He is my friend and we are close now. And so Alexis says, let me tell you something. Your very presence here now makes my daughters uncomfortable and uneasy. Go worry about your friend Rick somewhere else. Because their feelings come first. So Ava just looks at her. Fine. So she leaves, right? And rightfully so. Ava would have still been there making digs digs at, not even knowing what happened, right? But digs at everything, trying to get, she that was a volatile powder cake that Alexis did need to get rid of, right? So we'll see. Tomorrow's going to be really good. I think this is going to be a good GH week, everybody. I really do. You would swear that this was sweeps, right? Because this is some good stuff, good writing here. Now, Solinsky is dead. He would not give up a name. He says, I don't have a name. I just have, I mean, they just reach out to me. It's anonymous, but the information is over there in that desk. So Sonny goes to open the desk, and Solinsky tries to make a break for it. He tries to push Jason out the way. So Jason ends up subduing the guy, knocks him out, or hits him, and he falls back onto the marble stairs and is laying there. So Jason goes over and feels the marble stair hit him, and he's dead. He looked at Sonny. Oh, he's gone. Sonny's like, fine, we'll take all of this stuff. So get a cell phone, get everything. And Jason says, I'll do a whole sweep of this apartment. Right? So they sweep Jason cleaned the fingerprints, because remember, it was already established that nobody aside from the WSB, Jason has the skill set to wipe a scene clean of their fingerprints. The whole footprint will be gone, right? Now, they did leave the dead body there because, well, what they gonna do? They can't sneak that by a TSA, right? And nor do they need a dead body. Nobody will know who killed this assassin, right? So anyway, him and Jason are on the plane, and they're coming back, and Jason says, yeah, I wish Solinsky still would have been alive, because I feel like we could have got more information out of him alive than dead. Sonny said, it makes no difference. We're going to give all the equipment to Brick, and we're going to let Brick go through it like a fine-tooth comb to see what he could come up with. He says, and Solinsky being dead works in our favor. He said, because see, the one who hired him knows that we took care of business. He goes, yeah, it was us. And he goes, yeah, but Sonny, whoever hired him is still going to come after you. He said, yeah, I know he is, but he also knows there's repercussions coming after me. He said, so therefore, we sent a message. So Jason said, Sonny, you need to get your surgery. He goes, nope, it's too volatile. See, it's always a reason. It's too volatile right now. We're going to give Brick some time to uncover the information. Then we're going to assess it. And then once I know who the enemy is, then I'm going to have my surgery. And Jason just looked at him. I thought, now, if Jason believed that, Sonny's, as good as dead. Because there's always going to be another threat. There's always going to be another situation. But I honestly believe Sonny's going to end up having that surgery as emergency surgery, because with the craps Christina has done, it's going to be way too stressful for Sonny. Oh, because she's going to tell her dad she did it. But it was for Ava. I didn't mean it, Dad. Tell me you believe me. Tell me you believe I would never hurt Rick or Elizabeth. Tell me, see, chick. You will hurt anybody in your wake. Anybody. Own up. See, Sonny, I'm telling you. And look, telling her mother would sweep it under. But that would cause Molly to now truly turn her back on her mother. If you take Christina's side, my father now could die because of her. So I'm loving the dynamic, and we're going to see the fallout with Sonny, how he's not going to be able to handle it. Because you want to know what else, everybody? Christina wasn't wearing gloves when she picked up them pliers, them wire cutters to cut the brakes. She was not wearing gloves. Her fingerprints are all over that. Unbelievable. So good. Finally give Anna somebody to arrest that's actually guilty. Okay. So that was, I mean, good. Oh my God. Great, great day. I was so all kind of emotions with today's episode. 100%. Okay. So now let's go to comment corner. Comment corner. And let me pull up my trusty dusty stopwatch. Here we go. Now today I'm going to go from the top down, 7 minutes of the top down. And here we go. Lynn one says, enough with Christina, that little crazy jack in the box. Has she ever done one good thing in her life? No. All she has ever done is cause chaos since the day she was born. Yep. It's always the Christina hour with her. Now she will cause problems with Sunny and Lucky because she told him what she did. She never thinks, just reacts. Her father is hot headed too. Time for him to have a heart attack. He won't listen. So this is what will have to happen. If Rick doesn't make it, Rick's gonna make it. That's murder. Yeah, Rick's character's definitely gonna make it. Look, the way General Hospital writes, he'll be back up walking around next week. I am sure Alexis will try to take the blame. Nope, Alexis can't take the blame for this one. I think Jason is getting, because look, she was with Drew. I think Jason is getting tired of Sonny. Hope he gets out of the mob business because Sonny is getting too old to handle his business. He is. Aisha says, before making any decisions, I'm hoping that Maxie keeps in mind the other allegations against Sidwell. Isn't Anna her godmother? At the very least, Maxie should have Sidwell digging up everything, or have Spinelli digging up everything on Sidwell's track record as a businessman. Now, you know what, Aisha? That is a excellent suggestion. She living with Mr. Sleuth Hacker. Go in and dig up everything from ex-wives to current wives. Guess who will find out? To children. But see, no, that's too much right? Aisha says, Julie Berman's Lulu dragging Elizabeth, wait, dragging Elizabeth for cheating on Lucky with Nicholas is one of the standout drags in General Hospital history. So I have no problem with Lulu being a wet blanket on Lucky and Liz getting getaway plans. Well, that was rough, but his affair with Maxie when he was strung out on drugs, that was pretty deep too, right? Aisha says, Daily Recap Lady, you know how Ava was trying to get Lucas to go hunting for Julian's hidden assets. Well, not only would any such assets have to be shared amongst Lucas, Leo, and Sam's kids, but possibly also with Nell. Why? Why Nell? If she's still out there, why Nell? Nell is Nina's daughter. Why would Julian have to share anything with Nell? I was just reminded that Nell blackmailed Julian, into marrying her in May. Yeah, but she still wouldn't get a jack nothing of his money because they weren't even married long enough for anything. Sylvina says Lucky already knows what Christina did. She told him. Yeah, she told him. She told him at the scene. The only thing he knew at the bar was she goes, "How was that, Alexis?" And she made me, oh my God. And I got to go fix this. That's all she said. But yeah, at the scene, she told him everything. Savina says, we may not know who sent the guy to torch Sonny's penthouse, because he's dead. In today's episode, him and Jason got into it. Jason tossed him, he fell him, and probably hit his head. When Jason checked, he said he's gone. That's so true. Blueberry Sherry says, I was so disappointed with Sasha feeding Maxie BS into Sidwell. I know. And then Vicky says, this is such a ridiculous storyline. The writers didn't need to have Sasha get pregnant, especially after Chad Duell was leaving and no recast plan. We already have Michael's wife sleeping with his uncle. We didn't need to have another uncle getting with getting with his pregnant ex-girlfriend. These two storylines definitely need Michael back in PC. Jacarly says the whole Elizabeth going to Ava's was a plot point. Elizabeth was Elizabeth has a car. Why would he take why would she take a ride share and then not ask them to wait since she was only dropping off paperwork? I know. And P. Merle says Aiden had her car tonight. Why go to Ava's? Liz didn't want to get stuck with Rick. Rick was pretty rude to Ava. He shouldn't be telling Ava about Portia's case either. Yeah, no. And then Jacarly says, the way Rick ran after Liz, Liz better watch out. Ava's the jealous type. And she wasn't going, and she wasn't wrong about what she said about Liz. She knows how Rick feels about her, and she's not above using him. Yeah. P. Merle says, and why not? Liz owes Rick a whole lot of payback. He has no shame either. And then Jacarly says, Christina knows that Sonny would do the same thing to Ava if the roles were reversed. He just tried to get Ava to sell him her daughter for $2 million using Avery. It's time for Christina to pay for her actions. Since she's so worried about Ava never paying, Lucky is not going to be okay with Liz getting hurt because of Christina. Then there's Molly. Her father is hurt too. Christina's obsession with Ava. P. Merle says, no, that was Ava who put a price on her daughter. Ava has killed people. What has Christina done in comparison to that? Yikes, caused the accident that could have killed two today, right? But yeah, you're right. Prior to that, Christina's just been a powder cake, but now could have been murder. Okay, Care Bear says, to think that Rick parked his car in Ava's spot because he had just got it cleaned and didn't want to leave it on the street. I think that with the accident, it would be slightly less clean. You are so right about that. And then Sewing Room says, I comment on Gio's hair, dark hair months ago. I guess I missed that. And then Sewing Room says, my girl Ava has more lives than a cat. And says Lucas might have to Lucas might have told Liz where Ava lives, and we could see. I guess he may have. And then that's it, everybody. We're up to 8 minutes on Comment Corner. Comment Corner, great comments, like 170 comments. Good job, excellent job on Comment Corner. So I will be back tomorrow with another daily episode or recap of General Hospital.